afternoon and welcome to a jam-packed Moss Lane for this afternoon's FA Trophy semi-final second leg. And if the tension today reaches the levels of last Saturday's first leg, fingernails down here in the commentary box will be pretty short come 4:45 p.m. or 5:15 p.m. Wycombe Wanderers hold a single goal advantage, of course, and if Altrincham today win by similar margin, we'll be in for an extra half hour of semi-final mania. With tomorrow's televised FA Cup semis, the season is racing towards its culmination and the time for lifting trophies is nigh. For Altrincham skipper Paul Rowlands, the GM Vauxhall Conference title is still a likelihood, despite last Tuesday's goalless draw with Fisher Athletic. For Glyn Creaser, Wanderers skipper, the Berks and Bucks Cup is up for grabs against neighbours Marlow next Tuesday, unless today's encounter leaves us requiring a third game to decide who will visit Wembley in the FA Trophy final on May the 11th. We've got plenty of goal scorers here today looking to ensure that their side clinches a final place today. Ken McKenna, one of 5 Altrincham players in double figures, has 32 goals in all competitions this season, and with 21 league strikes, he is only 1 conference goal behind Wycombe's Mark West in the Mail on Sunday Goal Scorer of the Year charts. Another couple of players with superb strike rates are Wycombe's Keith Scott and Altringham's England international Paul Showler. We caught up with these 2 players shortly before kick-off. Set for quite a big afternoon then this afternoon, Paul.
Yeah, it's a big match for us. A lot of rides on today.
How did you see last week's match? Did you enjoy that one?
Not as much as we have enjoyed other games this season. It didn't go obviously as we wanted it to. However, we'll be hoping to put it right today.
And how do you plan to take Wycombe today? Is it by storm?
I think that's the only way it could be. We enjoy going at teams. We're not a defensive side. We like to get at them. So I think that's what you can expect us to do today.
And what have you thought of Wycombe over the 3 games you've played them so far this season?
I've only played against them once in the league and in the first leg. I missed the first game down at Wycombe.
Right.
But from what I've seen from them, they're a good team. We do give them a lot of respect, but they're there to be beaten, and that's what we intend to do.
Good afternoon, Keith.
Good afternoon.
What's the mood in the camp then?
The mood's very confident. Obviously, we know we've got a job to do, but we're here. We're going to hopefully do it, and then come 20 to 5, there's going to be very, very big smiles on everybody's faces.
And what's the approach going to be from the team? You're going to hang on for the goalless draw?
No. We're going out to play football. We're going out to win the game, score goals, as you know, as the way we've played throughout the first leg and obviously the quarter-final. So we're definitely not going out to hold on to a 1-0 advantage.
And mentioning that quarter-final victory, I believe you stayed in a certain hotel there. Is superstition running through Wycombe at the moment?
Well, no, it was a nice hotel, so it was the same sort of distance really from there to Northwich and here, so obviously it was better to stay there as opposed to coming into Altrincham, you know, where you could always get a few nerves. But we were relaxed last night. We had a nice meal and, you know, had a laugh and a joke and went to bed early and got the game on our minds.
And what's the team announced for this afternoon then?
The team's the same 13 that played in the first leg, obviously the same 11 and then the same 2 subs.
Right. And what did you make of Altrincham last week?
Very workmanlike side, very physical, hard side to break down. But whatever team you play in a semi-final, whether it's, you know, a team that's top or bottom, you know, they're going to be a hard side to beat. So we know we've got to do a job. We did half of it last week, and hopefully we can complete it this afternoon. And
you completed that first half of the victory with notching home your 5th goal for Wycombe.
That's right. Well, hopefully I'll make it the 6th one this afternoon. Touch wood anyway, if we can find some. There we go. Touch wood, it'll be the 6th one this afternoon.
OK, well, good luck with the game.
Thank you very much.
So it will be Altringham's star-striking couple of Ken McKenna and John Brady to get this afternoon's second leg underway. The referee today is Mr. West of Hull. Altrincham will be hoping his surname is no happy coincidence for Wycombe, who have Mark West in the starting lineup again this afternoon, following his recovery before last week's first leg. Altrincham, with home advantage, will be looking to clinch their place in the FA Trophy final, which would put them on the way towards that special non-league double. And the first ball from Harry Wiggins goes over the top of Blues skipper Glyn Creaser and all the way back to John Granville in the Wycombe goal. He'll look towards the height of Keith Scott, of course, last week's match winner, and also Mark West trying to make a nuisance of himself. And there is Scott trying to get the flick on, but Miller clears comfortably towards Brady and out for a Wycombe throw-in in the far side. Away by Rowlands. Foot in by Shaw. And Brady's ball only comes to Dave Carroll, who's got Showler on his back now. Plays it towards Stapleton. And now Mark West with a bit of space. He's got Dave Carroll wide. Goes for the shot. And Paul Rowlands happy to clear that behind for the first corner of the afternoon, which Steve Guppy will come across to take. Wycombe have Andy Kerr and Glyn Creaser lining up to go for the height, and also Keith Scott near post. But Guppy's corner, helped along by quite an influential wind, takes the ball behind for a goal kick. Jeff Wealands has to face about 1,200 Wycombe fans as he takes that goal kick. Up goes Showler now, headed on towards Brady. Andy Kerr is covering, and in comes now McCarrick. Guppy is back to play the ball back safely to John Granville in the Wycombe goal. Comes wide, left by Dave Carroll for Keith Scott to run after, and it will go out for a throw-in, which Harry Wiggins will take. Matt Crossley in first. Now Rowlands, no doubts about who is going to be first with that ball. He sets Paul Showler off on a chase, and Andy Kerr just about manages to shepherd the ball back towards John Granville. And that strong wind will certainly affect play, I would think, today. It will aid those players who like to get the ball down on the deck and play their football, but balls up in the air will be very difficult to judge, and defenders will have to take care with that. Here's Mark West. Inside to Stapleton. And Keith Scott, directly in line with our camera, was seen to be just beyond the last defender. Altrincham's ground capacity reduced after the Hillsborough tragedy from 10,000 to 3,500, and there's every sign this week that that will be filled. Their record gate of late has been versus Barnet, when 3,000 were attracted for Altrincham's 4-1 thrashing of Barry Fry's side, but it looks like the attendance today should surpass that figure. That 4-1 thrashing of Barnet by Altrincham was in fact their last victory 3 games ago on Easter Bank Holiday Monday. And that was nearly the end of our terminal, as Harry Wiggins just about saves the ball. We're obviously in for a spot of bother this afternoon. Yes, as I was saying, on the Easter Saturday, in fact, Altrincham beat Barnet 4-1, but then it's been 3 games without a win, 2 draws in the league against Kettering, and then this Tuesday against Fisher, which has seen them lose pole position in the conference to Colchester, although they do still have 2 games in hand. The other game, of course, was last Saturday at Adams Park, when they went down 2-1 to Wycombe. But not a bad result for an away side. I'm sure John King will have every confidence his side can bring back that margin and see him revisit Wembley. McCarrick. Now Andy Kerr heads clear towards Keith Scott. And Anderson leaves it. Shaw plays it on, and now Wiggins. McKenna looks to take on Creaser. Creaser strongly there, and Keith Scott takes a battering from behind from Paul Rowlands, but he's up straight away. That won't keep him down for long. Wiggins, cool play. Anderson now. Back to Rowlands, who sensibly clears his lines and finds Mark McCarrick. Long ball up towards McKenna. And now Brady, Kerr once more. Miller's in there first. Creaser heads wide, sensible play into space for Guppy to get the ball down. And now McCarrick once more. Short to Daws, now Anderson with Stapleton on his back, forcing him to lose possession to Keith Scott. Guppy returns the ball to Scott, but in goes Rowlands. And now McKenna's away from Andy Kerr, goes down, but in fact not adjudged to have been a foul by Andy Kerr. Both former Telford players there, of course. Andy Kerr, who also had spells with Shrewsbury and Cardiff in the Football League. And the long kick now sees Mark West chasing after this. And cries from the Wycombe fans behind that goal for a handball. And the ball bouncing around in the area with only just over 5 minutes gone. West almost on the end of it. And then the Wycombe fans were convinced that it had hit a defender's hand, but not given. Now Wiggins. Matt Crossley's in there. Simon Stapleton, short to Carroll. Floats it in towards Keith Scott, and Rowlands does well to clear. Matt Crossley towards Scott again. The flick on. And Tommy Miller happy to clear his lines. Shaw, back header. And now Stapleton. To Carroll. Inside to West, but he doesn't get that under control. And Anderson to Shaw. He takes a 1-2 with McKenna. And plays it up for John Brady to chase. And Kerr, unable to shepherd that out for the goal kick, is obliged to give away the corner. And I think it's Paul Scholler down there in the corner who'll be taking Altringham's first corner of the afternoon. Rowlands, of course, scored after only 5 minutes in last week's, and he's targeted there by Scholler, who gets a second chance. And Matt Crossley, the second Wycombe defender, to head clear. Scholler leaves the ball to Wiggins to throw in, and McKenna comes looking for it. Scholler unable to keep the ball in, the England international, and Wycombe have a chance to clear their lines. Wiggins in the air wins the first one. Stapleton flying in there, wins it with his knee. Now Creaser hoofs it clear towards West. Stapleton, good header on. Tommy Miller has time to play that back to Jeff Wealands. Stuart cashes up, but John Brady the winner. Creaser playing that heavily up in the air, and look how the ball holds up. Keith Scott judges it well to win the header, but played first time back by Harry Wiggins. Very firmly back by Wiggins, the man who whose back pass in the 12th minute last week enabled Dave Carroll to get in and put Wycombe 1-0 ahead. He'll be looking to make his back passes very definite today. Now here's Mark West. Miller all the way back. Guppy dispossessed by Daws. And now he wins the ball back, but Paul Rowlands is across firmly to win the first challenge and then get the better of the ricochet with Simon Stapleton. Up the line towards Scott. Plays it into the middle towards West. Rowlands does another superb defending job to play the ball all the way up to McKenna. Now the ball comes across for Scholler to chase, and Matt Crossley, eyes on the ball all the way, just about sees the ball out for an Altrincham throw-in, which is taken by Wiggins towards McKenna. Shaw does enough to put Stapleton off, and it's Stuart Cash the Nottingham Forest player on loan here at Wycombe, who clears to Keith Scott. And Rowlands clears the ball off Scott's feet for a Wycombe throw-in. Cash looking for options to aim for. Guppy's kept the ball in. Over comes McCarrick, and he does superbly to clear in the direction of McKenna. Now Anderson up the line towards Brady, in space, down that right touchline. Altrincham looking dangerous, he looks up, and Creaser gets to the ball before McKenna could. Now here's Wiggins as Altrincham press forward once more. Ball into space, is towards Shaw. And his cross deflected behind by Glyn Creaser, but down both flanks there, Altrincham within the space of moments, finding much room, and that's dangerous for Wycombe. ShowIer with the corner. In towards that near post, and as it went over the heads of both Scott and Miller, it was a Wycombe foot that got the ball away. Now here's Steve Guppy to West. Heavy challenge from Miller, but a fair one. Sets Altrincham going once more. McCarrick steps inside Keith Ryan, but only finds Stuart Cash, who can turn back and play the ball back towards Granville. So not surprisingly, a few early nerves from the players on show as West heads that ball on for Scott to chase after, and Rowlands defends very well there and wins the free kick from the former Lincoln City and Leicester United striker. Such an influential player, Rowlands, at the heart of the Altrincham defence. 7 goals already this season, including 3 in his last 5, and of course such a strong defender. Nothing weak about that challenge from Matt Crossley of Wycombe, which wins the visitors a throw-in. Aims inevitably towards Scott. Keith Ryan heads that on. Rowlands takes command from Miller. The ball forward from McCarrick finds no one. Matt Crossley ducks under the ball, lets it run away, hoping to win the goal kick, and that's what he's able to do. Matt Crossley keeping his place in the Wycombe side. There were thoughts from some areas of the Wycombe camp that Steve Whitby, who'd been in such impressive form at right back, might return. Whitby, who'd injured ankle ligaments in the warm-up, would you believe, before Wycombe's 1-0 win against Colchester recently, and then lost his place, Crossley reverting then from centre-back to right-back. Dave Carroll, one of last week's goal scorers, of course, leaves the ball to Crossley. Crossley has Scott to aim for, and flicked in towards the middle, away by Shaw. Now ShowIer gets the ball under control. McKenna, despite the challenge from Creaser, almost managed to flick the ball away, and it'll be a Wycombe throw-in. McKenna wants words with Mr. West, wants to know why he hadn't won the free kick, but meanwhile at the other end, Stapleton plays it in towards Mark West, inside the Wycombe area, turns inside and crashes the shot with 13 minutes gone, just wide of the near post. Mark West, perhaps his first sight of goal, almost in the 2 legs, with Wycombe's best chance so far. Good ball in from Stapleton in the first place for Wycombe. Wealands gets good distance, and McKenna and Creaser battling again. And which way will the free kick go? And McKenna doesn't want to shake hands with Creaser. The free kick has, in fact, I think, been given to Wycombe, the way the players are moving. It seemed to be 6 of one and half a dozen of the other. McKenna, unhappy with an earlier challenge, looking to make sure he gave as good as he got in that exchange. But Glyn Creaser, all smiles, having won that particular duel. Creaser aims long and far post towards Scott. Flick on. But Jeff Wealands always looking as if he'd be first there, ahead of West. Brady, inside to McKenna, who has now a bit of space and can return it to John Brady. Back to McKenna. Matt Crossley comes across to cover. Keith Ryan is battled out. Andy Kerr panics and the ball comes in to Anderson. And now Matt Crossley can clear. And Wycombe under threat there on the quarter of an hour break as the defence looked extremely shaky. Anderson, one of a couple of forwards who looked as if they might get a clear shot in on goal. Altrincham, such a sound side, of course, 25 games unbeaten in the conference now, a record since this particular league began back in 1979, one which sets them out as the most consistent of the top 5 sides in the GM Vauxhall Conference, and still makes them, by my odds at least, favourites to go into the 4th division next season. But as well as being sound, they'll have to come at Wycombe today because goalless draw would not be good enough. 2-1 down from that first leg. They need to win by a couple of goals if they're to clinch it today. Rowlands trying to bring ShowIer into the action. Matt Crossley with the throw-in. Flick on towards West. Tries to go line. Harry Miller gets a touch there, looks back towards Wealands. And the ball does stay in play. Good defending by Tommy Miller. West perhaps still offside, but not interfering with players. He ran back to an onside position as Guppy played the ball forward. Creaser up with McKenna, wins the header cleanly. Shaw back towards Miller, and now McKenna. Anderson plays it sensibly into space where Mark McCarrick is, and he looks line towards John Brady. Challenged by Stuart Cash. Thrown from Daws. Now here's McCarrick. Has to turn though, the ball running away from him. Keith Scott turns aside Anderson. Needs some width over on this side. And he's got Dave Carroll running full pelt, but Miller should be there first. And the dummy, very effective. But the clearance, not so. Mark West in the way of that. Wiggins clears. Creaser is first to it. Now West. And again Miller first to the ball. And a good ball forward it is as well. ShowIer almost away. Crossley happy to concede the throw-in. Here's McKenna. Marked by Dave Carroll. Comes inside the Wycombe winger. Ball at his feet. And it goes beyond Guppy. McCarrick and Cash challenge. And that will be an Altrincham throw-in. Stuart Cash on loan from Nottingham Forest with Wycombe until the end of the season. Claimed he had an easy afternoon last week. I'm sure with John Brady attacking him on Altringham's ground, it won't be such a comfortable afternoon for the Wycombe left-back today. Daws with the long throw-in towards Rowlands. Kerr winning it in the air, but it might fall to Anderson. Stapleton can clear. West wins the header. To the feet of Scott now. Plays it out wide to Steve Guppy. Guppy has some room to run into. Goes past McCarrick. But good defending by Daws, who's back there. And it's a Wycombe throw-in. Keith Ryan's in space in the middle if they could get the ball across to him. but Guppy looks to take on Daws. Floats in across towards West, just too far. Here's Stuart Cash, lobbed in towards Keith Scott. Dave Carroll's there first, volleys it goalwards, but it didn't reach the Wycombe goal, the Altrincham goal in fact, and Dave Carroll's 20th minute volley not troubling Jeff Wealands, but troublesome moments nonetheless for Altrincham's defence there. Scott towards West, and Wiggins clears. It's not going to risk a pass back from that position with Carroll pressing. McKenna beats Kerr to the ball, superb flick on. Cash clears the ball high for an Altrincham throw-in. Altrincham have their highest gate of the season here today, which I'm sure they will contrast quite significantly with the attendance last May, when on 5th of May Wycombe came a visiting for the last game of the season, and an attendance of 541 was the lowest they had here at Moss Lane. Now here's Shaw out to Showler, but again Crossley in first. And on the far side, Stuart Cash is down and will need some treatment. Cash, who says the length of his Wycombe career will depend on his thoughts at the end of the season. He's certainly hoping to go to Wembley with them this year. He's been offered another year by Brian Clough at the City Ground to try and push his claims for a First Division place. But when you're up against men of the calibre of Stuart Pearce, perhaps you might consider looking elsewhere. Nonetheless, a classy fullback, Stuart Cash, in the games he has played for Wycombe so far. He's also been on loan at Brentford this season, and had a spell at Rotherham last season. Almost joined Maidstone for a 25,000 figure fee, but instead came to Wycombe on loan to see how he liked it with Forest old boy Martin O'Neill. Now it's his counterpart, the Altrincham number 3, Harry Wiggins, to get the game underway again. Into the feet of Brady. Back out to Wiggins, who sends his cross in high. Granville's coming for it, fists it clear to McCarrick. Looked up, thought about trying the lob back in as Granville got back to his line. And he's past 2 of the Wycombe defenders. Daws was the man with the flick on. Keith Scott's done well, he's won the header. He's also out-sprinted Rowlands down that line. Now he looks for men to join him. Mark West is the first of those. And West will be happy to win a throw-in for Wycombe, which Guppy leaves to Stuart Cash. West tries to turn Brady, but only wins a throw-in. Cash back to Guppy. Wycombe have men in the area as Guppy tries to go past Brady, and he's brought down by the Altrincham number 9, who professes he really didn't mean to hurt the Wycombe player. And again, having words with Mr. West, claiming his innocence. And Wycombe have brought forward the towering Andy Kerr to help with this attack, and it's Dave Carroll to swing the ball in towards Ryan, but well cleared by Anderson. Now Cash out wide to Carroll, volleyed in. West and Kerr are there. Wealands punches clear and does a very good job. Under pressure from Wycombe's centre half, Wealands did superbly to clear. But some promising pressure from Wycombe, if you're a Wycombe fan that is, as we go past the halfway point of this first half. Still goalless, still tense as this semi-final always was going to be, but openings starting to appear. Over Ryan to the feet of McKenna. There's not really a lot in it in these early stages. The first goal, as they always say, will be so important. That would settle the team down. That would enable them to hold the ball up a bit and play their football. West back to Ryan. The ball was bobbling in front of him, but now Dave Carroll has won possession. Steps inside Anderson, sets his sights on goal, and fires just over from all of 25 yards. The Wycombe number 6. And high into the Wycombe faithful behind Wealands' goal. Dave Carroll, a man who last week scored his first cup goal of the season, and indeed his first of 1991 for Wycombe. Last time he scored was away at Merthyr Tydfil, of all places, in Wycombe's 4-2 victory there. And he'll be looking to add to that tally of 8 goals this afternoon. Now ShowIer feeds Daws, who can get his cross in low and hard towards Brady. Turns Kerr, and one of the best moves of the afternoon as ShowIer fed Daws the ball in low to the feet of John Brady, who turned Andy Kerr and crashed the shot, always rising but not too far over John Granville's goal with 25 minutes gone. Guppy's ball is short and Daws able to win that. McKenna and Kerr tussling, and McKenna has come away from Kerr with the ball on the edge of the Wycombe box, and it falls to Anderson. Now Kerr can clear, but Guppy takes the ball off his feet to play it back to Cash. Anderson's read where the clearance would go. Good anticipation, but not a good pass by the Altrincham number 6. Excuse me. Cash clears towards Scott, tussling going on between the forward and centre half. The ball left, and here's Simon Stapleton approaching late. But Stapleton's drive on the run, always comfortably going to be held by Jeff Wealands. Promising break by Wycombe on 26 minutes. Kerr to Guppy. Another awkward ball back. And the semi-finals nerves evidently still not over, as Guppy in the wind, unable to make his passes count on a couple of occasions, facing back towards his fullback. Now Granville's clear is sliced all the way into touch. Wiggins with the throw. Towards McKenna. He and Glyn Creaser getting very close this afternoon, but now ShowIer has room to cross the ball in. It's towards McKenna, and in came Stuart Cash to head clear. And it's end to end as the tension doesn't impede goal chances. ShowIer put away down the left touch line on 27 minutes, and his cross near post headed clear by Stuart Cash. Up the line by Brady, almost to ShowIer, but just out of play. There it is, just behind that pylon there. Matt Crossley with the throw. West. Back to Carroll, and on for Stapleton, running clear. Tries to get the ball down, but good defending by Shaw and Rowlands. As Stapleton put clear almost by Carroll's ball, was the furthest man forward as he broke the offside trap, but couldn't get the ball under control, which would have enabled him to motor towards Jeff Wealands' goal. Instead, defending between Rowlands and Shaw enabled all three of them to clear their lines. It was 28 minutes of the game gone. And words in front of us between West and Tommy Miller. Harry Wiggins wins the first header. And I'm sure we're going to see a lot more of that tension this afternoon. We're so close to the touchline here, we can almost hear the conversation between West and Miller. I'm sure Mark West's mother wouldn't have liked to hear that sort of language. He's Scott striding over with Wiggins, and he wins the header. Miller can head into touch. Matt Crossley calling to Keith Scott, but that'll be no surprise that that's where the ball is aimed towards. And there's two men on him now. ShowIer coming back. Keith Ryan almost able to keep the ball in play, but it falls instead for an Altrincham throw-in. Wiggins looks for his options up the line. There's McKenna and Showler up there, and it's towards McKenna that he aims. Creaser can clear. Keith Ryan, short ball to West. Scott aiming to get the ball inside to Ryan, who's touched, fallen to Mark West in the first place. Signs that Wycombe are perhaps starting to knit their game together, and of course the longer this game goes on, the more Altrincham's frustration might begin to creep in, chasing that goal behind. Showler's flick on towards McKenna, and Andy Kerr's coming across and clears the ball safely. Here's Wiggins, but only to Stapleton, who can bring the ball down, and Mark West is offside, and I think our monitor's in trouble again. Stapleton with time there to get the ball under control. A missed pass from Altrincham, giving him that time. And Altrincham will be looking to keep up the pressure, keep up the momentum, and remind Wycombe that they're the team set on this FA Trophy and GM Vauxhall Conference titles double. And now Showler might get time to get across him. Andy Kerr's crossed so quickly that he doesn't get the chance even to look up. Wiggins with the throw-in towards McKenna on the near post. It's Scott who's challenging the volley from Brady. And now Showler puts the cross in, and it's above Creaser, and Daws! And that's the best chance of the afternoon so far. 31 minutes gone. Wiggins throw-in. McKenna was dispossessed by Keith Scott, but Showler was able to put his cross in above Creaser's head, and waiting on the far post was Nigel Daws, Nicky Daws, sorry, with 8 goals this season, but his shot crashed over the top. Showler manages to keep the ball in touch, and Creaser looks to clear, which he does off Nigel Shaw for a Wycombe throw-in. And it's back towards Granville. And again the wind carrying Granville's long kicks towards the touchline, and little chance of keeping the ball in. The keepers from that end will have to try and balance their kicks by aiming towards their left winger, hoping the ball can come in towards the centre forward position. Creaser in hard as McKenna challenged. Now it's McCarrick in the right back spot. Towards Anderson, or Nicky Daws rather, who takes the ball well and is also fouled. And now it's Gary Anderson looking to take the free kick, looking to put Altrincham in for today's first goal that would mean such a change to the shape of this game, and indeed to the whole tie. Showler leaves it to Daws, Shaw and Anderson, the midfield trio. And they've got Rowlands up there in the attack this time. And McKenna's there as well. Crossley gets the first header in, it falls to Brady. And now Anderson sends ball out wide to Wiggins. Plays it in towards the centre. Guppy wins the first header. And Anderson takes the ball away from him. Plays it wide to Showler, out on the right wing now. But his cross falls to Keith Ryan. And Mark West, signalling perhaps Wycombe's intents, just boots the ball into safety. And that's after only 34 minutes. As Altrincham keep the pressure up. Andy Kerr's clearance only to Showler. And now Cash can clear to save the corner. Poor clearance from Andy Kerr though, as Showler switches over to the right wing, tries luck against Stuart Cash over on that side of the field. As the home side fans start to get behind their supporters for a moment, Showler touch inside to Daws. And Stapleton towards West. Paul Rowlands comes through the back of him. Wins the ball, but also wins the memento of part of Mark West's socks, I would think. And Stuart Cash able to take his time over the free kick and play it long towards Keith Scott. He's got Dave Carroll going behind him, but Miller's won the header anyway, clearing it for a Wycombe throw-in with 10 minutes to go to half-time now. Wycombe have Keith Scott and Dave Carroll to aim for, and it's Scott who will go line. But it's to the feet of Dave Carroll, back to Matt Crossley. Looks up, fires his cross towards Mark West. Wealands is coming, and Wealands has made a good job of catching the cross. And Mark West will be in trouble with his namesake there, for that is a foul on the Altrincham keeper. And Mr. T West of Hull will have words with Mr. M West of Wycombe and ask him not to do that again. Mark West proclaiming that he committed no offence, but if you get in the way of the keeper in any way, of course, it will be an infringement. Now Altrincham through Wiggins, aims for Brady, and Cash can turn, get the ball under control to start with. And now McCarrick and Anderson battling in there. Plays it back towards Miller. And down in the centre has gone Simon Stapleton. Mark West drops back in towards the midfield, and Andy Robinson warming up in front of us as the cross comes across, and it's bounced over Dave Carroll to Showler. Now Carroll beats Shaw, aims long towards Scott, but Rowlands is there, and Miller trying to get the ball under control, does so at the second attempt, with Keith Scott pressurising him. There's a good ball towards Showler. Glyn Creaser happy to clear that into touch. Stapleton still down. Wycombe have both substitutes warming up. They are today Andy Robinson, the former Manchester United, Carlisle and Bury player, and also Simon Hutchinson, another ex-Man United player who was a product of the FA's School of Excellence held at Lillishall. Subs for Altrincham today are Andy Reid and Mark Hughes, that man with such a magnificent goal-scoring record after being Altringham's top scorer last year. The signing of John McKenna has seen his opportunities limited this season, but from 18 games he's managed to score 14 goals for John King's side. Stapleton, who missed out on Wycombe's the end of Wycombe's other majestic cup run this season, when in the first minute down at Peterborough he went off injured after a hard challenge, and that was the end of Wycombe's FA Cup run. He'll be hoping he sees this FA Trophy run right through to the end, the former Bristol Rovers and Portsmouth midfielder. And it looks like the Wycombe physio Dave Jones is leaving the field, with Stapleton up again all right for now. And to restart the game, it's Daws with that long Altrincham throw-in towards McKenna on the near post, who is adjudged to have been backing onto Creaser, and it's a Wycombe free kick in the penalty area. And as we approach half-time, both managers no doubt will be composing a few well thought out words as to what they should be saying to their side. I would guess that Martin O'Neill would be saying, as it is boys, perhaps try and keep hold of the ball a bit more, and John King for Altrincham will be saying, keep your patience, don't panic, but we've got to get that goal. Now Anderson, dispossessed by Keith Ryan, but he just hacks it into empty space, and McCarrick can play it back towards Wealands. Wycombe's flexible 4-2-4 formation, very much a 4-4-2 today, with Carroll and Guppy, the wingers, dovetailing into the midfield. Mark West and Keith Scott up on their own. Wiggins towards Brady, trying to flick it on towards Showler. Now it comes inside to Nigel Shaw, out to Mark McCarrick. Time to look up, and floats it in towards Shaw, who's gone on and gets a good header on, a few claims from the Altrincham players that Andy Kerr ran into Altringham's midfielder, but instead it goes out for a goal kick with 5 minutes to go till half-time. Up goes Scott. Flick on. Miller clears. Brady to the feet of McKenna. Nice touchdown to Shaw. Out wide as he's brought down to Showler. Now McKenna to Anderson. And now McCarrick as Altrincham string a few passes together. It's Brady out on that far side who can't quite get his cross in. And Miller can't keep the ball either in play, so it's a Wycombe throw-in. The fourth meeting between these two sides this season, of course, including the two conference games, and we've yet to have a draw in those encounters as Keith Scott takes the ball down and invites Tommy Miller to dispossess him. Fires instead a cross in, but only behind for an Altrincham goal kick. Previous encounters, it's so far 2 wins to Wycombe and 1 to Altrincham, but it's the home side who's always come out on top so far. 2-1 and 3-0 to Wycombe, and that 3-0 Mark West scoring both goals. 2 of the goals, Andy Kerr the other. And then 6 weeks ago, Altrincham Nicky at 1-0 when Ken McKenna scored the winner. Away comes Wiggins. Ball up the line towards Brady. And Creaser won't be able to see that one out for a goal kick as Brady wins the ball. Now Crossley towards West, and Wiggins does well to head the ball out for a Wycombe throw-in. As the Wycombe fans try and get behind their team, and Mark West signals to them out of your picture there to lift their voices and to try and lift the team. Crossley towards Scott. Up well by Shaw. Now Carroll trying to get the ball down. And it was in fact a hand by Tommy Miller, which wins Wycombe the free kick. And Andy Kerr and Glyn Creaser will go sprinting forward to add their height to the Wycombe attack. It's Steve Guppy, left-footed, to take this free kick. Aims towards Mark West and Keith Scott, but Jeff Wealands is there, safe as houses so far today. He's put in an impressive first half. Wealands, of course, no doubt won't be happy with himself for Wycombe's second goal last week when Keith Scott was allowed to take the ball off him. And John Granville, bounding out of his goal, has won the ball, but in doing so, I'm not quite sure which Altrincham player it is, but a foul has been given against that Altrincham player for charging into Granville. In the meantime, Paul Rowlands has sprinted up from his position at the back to protest with the referee that Nicky Daws, in fact, was the person who was fouled, not John Granville. And the Altrincham fans claiming that Wycombe's kit could do with a clean. And with moments to go to half-time, Daws needs a fair bit of a treatment. Last season, of course, Nicky Daws was the youngest ever Fans Player of the Year here at Moss Lane. And he was also 3 years ago the first schoolboy that had appeared in an Altrincham first team for 20 years. Unfortunately for Altrincham fans, the 21-year-old, with 8 goals to his credit this season, looks fit to resume play, at least for now. But it is, in fact, a Wycombe free kick. I'm not suggesting that John Granville fouled Daws there, but keepers are so well protected these days in modern football, they do get away with most of the 50-50 decisions. And Crossley misjudges the flight of that. Showler tries to take the ball inside Crossley, and in doing so it hits Matt Crossley's arm, and it's an Altrincham free kick. Crossley, protesting his innocence, has had his name taken with just a minute to go before the interval. First booking, in fact, of either of these ties is, I presume, for dissent from Matt Crossley. An unusual sight, that, a yellow card in conference football. Not used, of course, in GM Vauxhall conference matches, but used on the FA's orders for the FA Trophy here. So it's a dangerous free kick for Altrincham as we approach half-time. The phones start ringing for half-time as Mark West is brought down by Daws. Certainly happy to go down West, even though he was fouled. And it's Glyn Creaser with the free kick as we approach the interval. Seconds to go now, I would presume. Both physios have been on, but it's aimed, yes, towards Keith Scott. It might towards Dave Carroll, might fall to Dave Carroll, but he fell as well. Whips across in towards Steve Guppy. Not a bad chance for Guppy, although it fell to his right foot with seconds to go to half-time. The ball fell out to Dave Carroll. He slipped and his cross whipped in, found Steve Guppy, who volleyed right-footed over the top. And now Guppy wins the header, the knock-on. Stuart Cash, the clearance hit the Altrincham player, John Brady over there, and it will be a Wycombe throw-in. Cash looks for options as referee West asks him to get along with play. Rowlands wins the header. Handball surely by Stapleton. One of the more obvious handballs, and there won't be any dissent from the Wycombe midfielder for that decision. Rowlands leaves it for Miller to set Altrincham into perhaps the last attack of this half. Altrincham looking to breach that Wycombe defence. And it might fall to Shaw, trying to get the ball under control. But Keith Ryan, after good defensive work by Dave Carroll, clears only as far as Miller, who flights it in towards McKenna. Creaser hammers it away for Keith Scott to run onto. He's beaten Miller, but Wiggins is there to play the ball back. Almost a lone striker for Wycombe. Keith Scott. Wealands plays it long and low, but at half-time, Wycombe will be happier than Altrincham, as John Wynne raises his fist to the Wycombe faithful to signal that it's so far so good for Wycombe Wanderers. John King's men will have a few things to say about that yet, as at half-time we reach the score of Wycombe 1, Wycombe 0, Altrincham 0.